I heard it before I even stepped inside. The kind of sounds that no married man should ever hear coming from his bedroom. A long, breathless moan. The deep, primal groan of a man. The wet, rhythmic slap of skin against skin. For a split second, my brain refused to process it, but my body did. I clenched my fists, my jaw locked so tight it ached, and then I saw it through the half-open door. My wife, Lauren, my perfect wife, naked, writhing, begging, beneath a man who wasn't me, a stranger. No, worse, a Reddit guy. Some random loser from the internet who had slithered his way into her messages, then into her mind, and now into my bed. The sheets. The ones we bought together. The ones we had made love on. Were tangled around their bodies. His hands gripped her hips, holding her down, pulling her deeper. She arched for him, nails digging into his back, gasping, panting, giving him everything. Everything that was mine. And she had no idea I was watching. She had no idea what was about to happen. My name is Roman Anderson, and I'm 33 years old. I don't get played, I don't get disrespected, and I sure as hell don't get cheated on. Lauren thought she was so clever. She thought I wouldn't notice the late-night Reddit scrolling, the locked phone, the whispered excuses. She thought I wouldn't put the pieces together. But I did. I saw the messages. I saw the teasing emojis. The late-night, I can't wait to feel you texts. I saw her little hotel reservation she thought she hid so well. So I followed her. I watched her giggle like a giddy schoolgirl as she walked into this luxury suite, wearing that tight black dress I bought her, the one she claimed was for me. Now she was sprawled out on my bed, drenched in sweat, moaning for some Reddit nobody. And instead of storming in like an idiot, I did something better. I pulled out my phone, and I hit record, every filthy second of it. Her gasps, his low, cocky chuckles, the slick, wet sounds of pure, unfiltered betrayal. I let them have their fun. I let them think they won. But the moment they were done, I was going to ruin them both. I leaned against the doorway, my breathing calm, steady, controlled. The fire raging inside me, that was a different story. I had seen enough. Lauren's body, slick with sweat, tangled in the sheets. Her lips parted, her breath shaky. The Reddit guy, rolling off her, his hand tracing lazy circles down her stomach, his voice a smug whisper against her skin. Did I live up to the hype? Lauren giggled, her fingers playfully running through his hair. Even better. I felt my jaw tighten. Better? Better than me? She bit her lip, still lost in her little fantasy, completely oblivious to the fact that her real nightmare was standing just feet away. I turned off the recording and slipped my phone back into my pocket. My next move? It had to be perfect. Storming in now would be too easy, too predictable. I wanted them to squirm. I wanted them to burn. So I pulled out my spare key, the one Lauren had no idea I had, and unlocked the door without making a sound. I stepped inside, closing the door softly behind me. Lauren was too busy giggling, stretching, completely at ease to notice. But the Reddit guy, he felt me first. Something in the air changed. His body stiffened. His eyes flickered toward the door, sensing the presence of something dangerous. Then he saw me, and the color drained from his face. Lauren noticed too late. By the time she turned, by the time she recognized the towering figure in the shadows, it was over. Her breath hitched. Her eyes widened in horror. Roman? She gasped, clutching the sheets to her chest. I didn't blink. I didn't move. I just let the silence hang heavy between us. The Reddit guy? He scrambled, fumbling for his clothes, his hands shaking. Look, man, I didn't know. I let out a slow, dark chuckle. Didn't know what? He swallowed hard. That she was married. Lauren flinched. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Liar. I had seen the messages. I had seen the way she gloated about fooling me, about how thrilling it was to sneak around behind my back. She wasn't sorry. She was caught. I took a step forward. The Reddit guy? He bolted. Shirt half buttoned, pants barely up, he stumbled toward the door like a scared little rabbit. But I was faster. I grabbed his collar, yanking him back before he could escape. Lauren gasped. Roman, please! I ignored her. I turned to him, my grip tightening. You had a hell of a night, huh? My voice was calm, but the edge in it was deadly. He nodded frantically, terrified to even breathe. I smirked. Good, because it's about to get even better. I shoved him hard against the wall. He whimpered, his hands flying up. Look, I'm sorry, okay? It was just a hookup. I tilted my head. Just a hookup? I turned to Lauren. Her face was pale. You hear that, sweetheart? My voice was mocking now, cruel. You were just another cheap little hookup to your Reddit boy. Her lip trembled. I smiled. Good. Let her feel it. I leaned in closer to the guy, my voice dropping low. Threatening. Now here's what's gonna happen, I murmured. You're gonna sit your ass down while I have a little conversation with my wife. And if you even think about running... I let my hand slide inside my jacket, just enough for him to see the glint of metal. His face went white. He nodded so fast I thought his neck might snap. Good boy, I whispered. I let him go, and he collapsed onto the chair by the dresser, panting hard. Then finally, I turned back to Lauren. She was still clutching the sheets to her chest, her eyes filled with something between fear and shame. Roman, she whispered, her voice fragile. Please just let me explain. I laughed. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Explain? I echoed. Lauren, sweetheart, you already did. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. And there it was. The recording. Crystal clear. Her moans. His groans, every filthy, breathless second of it. I watched the horror bloom on her face as the sounds filled the room. She shook her head violently. No, Roman, please. I paused the video, let the silence hang heavy. Then I tilted my head, my smirk widening. You like playing games, sweetheart? My voice was low, teasing, because now we're gonna play mine. Lauren shuddered. She knew she was about to pay. And this was only the beginning. Lauren's breathing was ragged, her lips slightly parted, her eyes darting between me and the phone in my hand. She knew. She knew that everything she thought she had gotten away with was now in my control. And the best part, She had no idea what I was going to do next. The Reddit guy was still frozen in the chair, his hands gripping the edges so tight his knuckles had gone white. He wanted to run. I could see it in his eyes, but he was too scared to make a move. Smart. I took my time walking over to the bed, our bed, where Lauren still sat, barely covered by the sheets she had just dirtied with another man. "Roman, please," she started, her voice breaking. It was a mistake, I swear." I laughed, a slow, dark chuckle that sent a shiver up her spine. "A mistake?" I echoed, tilting my head. I lifted my phone, playing the recording again, letting the sound of her moans fill the room. Lauren flinched. I let it play. The needy gasps, the filthy whispers, the sinful sounds of her betrayal. Then I clicked pause. The silence that followed was louder than any scream. I leaned in close, my voice barely above a whisper. "You don't get to call it a mistake, sweetheart." My tone was calm, controlled, dangerous. A mistake is when you forget to text back. A mistake is when you leave the stove on. But this? I let my eyes drag over her. This was a choice. Lauren's breathing hitched. She knew I was right. I turned to the Reddit guy who was practically sweating bullets. "And you," I said, my smirk returning. "How's this night going for you, huh?" He swallowed hard. Look, man, I didn't know she was married. I cut him off with a chuckle. "You're a terrible liar." I lifted my phone and tapped the screen. Another set of messages appeared. His messages. The ones where Lauren had told him about me, about how thrilling it was to cheat, about how she had been planning this night for weeks. "Still want to pretend you didn't know?" I asked, tilting my head. His lips parted, but no words came out. "Yeah," I muttered. "That's what I thought." Lauren was shaking now, her fingers curled into the sheets. "Roman, please, don't do this." I turned back to her, smirking. "Oh, sweetheart, you haven't even figured out what I'm doing yet." I sat down at the edge of the bed, my gaze never leaving hers. Then I reached for the sheets, and slowly I pulled them away from her body. Lauren gasped. Her bare skin was still flushed from the heat of what she had just done. She tried to grab the sheets back, but I caught her wrist, firm but gentle. "You weren't shy a few minutes ago," I murmured. "No need to act like a saint now." Lauren trembled beneath my touch. And just like that, I saw it. That flicker in her eyes, that tiny spark of guilt mixed with something else, something darker, something she didn't want to admit. She liked this. The power shift, the danger, the thrill of being caught, of being punished. My smirk widened. "Oh, sweetheart, this was about to be fun." I glanced over at the Reddit guy, still sitting there, still stiff with fear. "Hey," I said, making him flinch. "Want to know the real kicker?" He blinked, swallowing hard. Lauren did too. I leaned in close, my lips grazing her ear. "This isn't the first time I caught her." Lauren's breath hitched. Her eyes snapped to mine, wide and full of panic. "Roman." I held up a finger. "Shh." Then I leaned back, stretching out on our bed, acting like I owned the place. Because I did, and I let the bomb drop. "Lauren here?" I gestured lazily at her. "She's been at this game for months." The Reddit guy's face twisted in confusion. "Wait, what?" Lauren shook her head violently. That's not true. Roman, please. I chuckled, clicking my phone again. Another set of messages appeared. Different guys, different locations, different nights, but all the same pattern. Lauren. Sneaking around, looking for that next rush. I watched the color drain from her face. The Reddit guy looked like he wanted to throw up. I sighed, shaking my head. You really thought I didn't know? I said, raising an eyebrow. I just needed the perfect moment to let you dig your own grave. Lauren's hands shook. I saw the tears building in her eyes. She knew what was coming next. This wasn't just a fight. This wasn't something a quick, I'm sorry, was going to fix. This was checkmate. I smiled. You broke my trust, Lauren. I let my voice drop, making sure she felt every syllable. And now? I lifted my phone one last time. I break you. Her breath hitched, her eyes locked onto the screen. And then, I hit send. Lauren's scream pierced the room the second I hit send. She lunged for my phone, but I was faster, pulling it out of her reach with a lazy smirk. Oops, I murmured. Too late. Her face drained of color, her breathing ragged. She knew. She knew exactly what I had just done. I had sent the recording, the video of her moaning, gasping, begging beneath another man. The evidence of her betrayal, straight to everyone who mattered, her friends, her family, her boss. Her entire perfect little world, gone. Her hands shook as she grabbed the sheets, desperate to cover herself. Roman, she whispered, her voice breaking. Tell me you didn't. I leaned in close, watching her crumble. Oh, sweetheart, I murmured, mocking. I did. Her lips parted in a silent sob. Her phone buzzed violently on the nightstand. 1, 2, 3. Then an explosion. Calls, messages, notifications flooding in. Her secrets, her filth, her deceit, exposed for the world to see. She lunged for it, hands trembling as she opened her messages. Then a choked gasp escaped her throat. Her mother's name, her best friend's name, her boss's name. Each one sending the same message. What the hell is this? Lauren collapsed onto the bed, her body shaking violently, her face buried in her hands. No. I sat back, watching her fall apart. You wanted a thrill, right? I whispered, tilting my head. This is what it feels like to be exposed. Her shoulders shuddered with silent sobs. The Reddit guy? He was already out the door. I heard his footsteps pounding down the hall, running like a coward. I let him go. He wasn't my concern. Lauren was. She lifted her face, tear-streaked and broken. Her mascara smudged, her lips quivering. Roman, please, she whispered. Her voice small. I sighed, standing up. This was never about him, I murmured. You think I care about some Reddit loser? I let out a low chuckle. I could have had him crawling on the floor if I wanted. Lauren shivered. She knew I was capable of that. No, this wasn't about the other man. It was about her. The way she had lied, the way she had laughed behind my back, the way she had enjoyed every second of her betrayal until she got caught. I grabbed my jacket, sliding it on slowly, watching her panic grow. Where are you going? She croaked, her voice hoarse from crying. I turned to face her, smirking. I told you, I said. You broke my trust. I stepped toward the door, grabbing my bag, the one I had packed days ago, knowing this moment was coming. And now? I exhaled sharply, shaking my head. I break you. Her breath hitched. Her eyes widened. She scrambled forward, grabbing onto my sleeve, desperate. No, please, Roman. Please don't leave me. I made a mistake. I swear. I yanked my arm back, my expression cold as steel. You made a choice. I turned my back on her. Then, as I reached for the door, I delivered the final blow. By the way, I muttered, my hand on the doorknob, I already filed for divorce. Lauren gasped. I heard the sheets rustle, the sound of her body crashing onto the floor as her knees buckled beneath her. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. I just walked out, the sound of her broken sobs ringing through the air as I slammed the door shut behind me. Game over.